They are with you in the fight against white supremacy, except when you have to do something, then you look around and there's nobody there but yourselves. And in my travels, I have yet to see that kind of thing occur. I have yet to see that occur at all. I don't see anything like that happening. So I left it available, and I let them go ahead and call in and talk about that and everything. And one guy, he was married to he said it was to a Black American female. He was. By the same token, I let him know, well, she's a fool then, because she's sitting in a house with somebody who is harboring obvious contempt to the very people who allowed him to get to where he is today. Let me be very clear in no uncertain terms. If you are a Black immigrant or the child of Black immigrants, you should be grateful to Black Americans. You should be grateful to indigenous Black people for paving the way to allow you to be here, because you don't understand it. What they tell themselves is that America rolled out the red carpet, which has never been the case. You take a look at the Haitian boat people versus the Cubans. You take a look at what happens to the Haitians, and then take a look at what happens to the Cubans. This hasn't penetrated their psyches. They're kind of walking around in this self-delusion. When you take a look at things like the Refugee Act of 1980, if you all want to know something specifically that you can take a look at, the Refugee Act of 1980, that's not something that immigrants fought for or worked for. That was something that Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of slaves worked for that. We're the ones who put that into place. We're the ones who had Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court fighting for Black immigrants. We were the ones who did that. But if you listen to them, they'll make it sound like they somehow spontaneously created that from nothing, like the singularity that created the Big Bang. If you listen to them, it just came out of nowhere. Like it was just all there and everything was just great. No. Before the 1970s, you didn't have any appreciable numbers like that, because you couldn't have appreciable numbers like that. Next is the diversity visa program. You can go look that one up for yourselves, by the way, the diversity visa program. And that was one that in particular was created for the purposes of being able to get so-called underrepresented countries. So places that historically had been frozen out. So you can go look those up for yourselves, by the way. And it's going to be kind of tough on them when you start saying these specific names, these specific acts. It's kind of tough on them when that occurs. But that's the kind of thing that we were doing something about. That's the kind of thing that we were working for. That was the kind of thing that we opened doors for. So the Black immigrant presence in America isn't something that they did on their own. That's not anything they accomplished by themselves. That was something that was bestowed to them and granted to them through the generosity and the work and the efforts of the descendants of slaves in America. We're the ones who created that. We're the ones who made that possible, because before us, the United States government's attitude was complete and total hostility toward all Black immigrants. Everybody else can come in except you. We can grab the Haitian boat people and knock them off right where they are. And then when you take a look as recently as last year, Del Rio, Texas, if you needed a refresher on that, the Afghans are being flown in over 100,000 strong. In Del Rio, Texas, yeah, let's put you on the bus and back where you go. And by the way, I don't know. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing either, because at this point right now, where we stand, you're going to have to earn the right to get any more support or assistance, because we're asking ourselves a question. We have seen a lot of hostility, and we have seen a lot of disrespect directed towards us by the very people who have benefited from us, which is why we're asking a fundamental question now. Church of Ogun, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure to speak to you, man. Pleasure to speak to you. You are the Malcolm X of our time. My opinion of this, I talk to these people. I heard Tariq say before, and I talked to Tariq too, about how some Africans, like the Ethiopians and Somalians, they don't even see themselves as black. I thought Tariq was like exaggerating. I know Tariq don't lie, but so I see one with my own eyes. I couldn't believe it. These people call other black people monkeys, niggers, unevolved apes, and all this. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, what the hell is this? This is from Africa. These people are from Africa. And apparently a whole race of Clayton Bigsby's around this bitch. You know what I mean? And that came as such a shock, bro. And they expect us to back them? Like I'm straight up voting Republican now. Straight up. Like, I don't give a damn, not in no coon type sense, but just to basically just shit on the Democrats because, you know, they want to elevate Asians and illegal aliens not even supposed to be here, trying to give them reparations, $500,000 a piece for sneaking over the damn border. Are you serious? But it's good, you know. It woke a whole lot of black people up. So it's good.
You have to do that because they have to have an economic foundation.
Exactly.
You can't get over here and make it in America without resources. And the big lie that gets circulated all the time is that these people come here and they just work themselves up from nothing. And that's not true. When they come here, they get a bag. They're given a bag. They're given protections. Let's be very, very clear. You're given a bag and given protections. They get protections that Black Americans do not receive because they're being brought here for the purposes of undermining us. So they get resources, they get protections, and then from there, they tell themselves, well, hey, I'm in league. If we were to be totally honest, the attitude they take away from that is I'm in league with the white establishment. When you talk about, you know, Black folk there in Ethiopia and places like that, and they don't see themselves as Black, it's because they don't really have. That's what I was explaining before, is that Blackness is an identity juxtapositioned against white supremacy. But if you don't believe white supremacy exists, if you actually, the people who most disbelieve the white supremacy exists are in Africa, which is why it's ironic we talk about Pan-Africanism, and the people who most don't believe in Africanism are the ones on the continent. So when you go to places, you got folk who see themselves as dark-skinned Arabs. They see themselves as dark-skinned Indians. When you talk about East India, they see themselves. So you got folk who are as dark as you or me. And yet you and I know, okay, that guy's from India, that guy's an Arab. And as far as the reason we have to make that distinction is because they don't see themselves as Black people. And you and I would talk ourselves white in the face, forget blue, white in the face, trying to convince them that they are in fact, quote, Black. For all he knows is I'm Indian. There are lighter skinned Indians, there are darker skinned Indians. And at that point, they've bought in, and it's comfortable for them to buy in.
Exactly. I agree with that. And I just one question for you before I take off, man. Like, would you also consider that to be cooning to vote Republican at this point for Black people? My case for Black people is this: for us to vote Republican in this year and in 2024. At least they ain't gonna give. They damn sure ain't gonna give illegal aliens reparations. They're gonna get their asses the hell up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And that helps us out. So boom, that right there is enough for all of us to get our Black asses out there to vote Republican. And now you know they ain't gonna do shit for us. They hate us. You know what I'm saying? But we get allied with them for temporarily, as long as it meets our needs. I think. Or would you agree, or what? You know, you have a better insight on this than most.
What I'll say is hard to necessarily support the Republican Party, but right now, as it stands, I certainly don't want anybody voting for something they don't understand. You know, I don't really police people's votes like that. I just think the worst thing is to vote for something you don't even understand. You know, it's like the civil rights generation. They back the Democrats and can't even explain why. So at least in your case, you can actually explain the why of why you're doing it. Whereas the civil rights generation votes Democrat and can't even explain what they're going to get, what they're doing it for. I'm voting to be voting. So as far as I'm
Catfish
concerned,
nuggets, baby.
that's the only wasted
Catfish
vote
nuggets.
right there, is a vote you can't define.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So either way, man, it's a pleasure speaking with you, man. Be one, and salute, man. God bless.
Black First, as always, thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me get Nas there. Let's go ahead and get you on here. You can unmute yourself.
What's going on, man? I appreciate all the hard work and careful analysis you do for us. And I just want to ask you a question about some of the legislation you brought up. How long do you think it'll take us to undo all of that legislation, all of that mass immigration legislation? In your opinion, how long do you think it will take?
As long as it takes for a critical mass of us to get on code for it, because you have to continue supporting it. Here's the reason why they have to flood the zone with so many illegals. Here's the reason they have to do it. Because typically speaking, the illegals, so-called immigrants, that they give priority to, those are the ones who are already bought off to begin with. Let's be very, very clear. If you're a Black person born in Africa, if you are a indigenous African person and you're talking anti-white supremacy, the governments over there flag you. If you want to know how the United States knows who the Black revolutionaries are in Africa, it's because their governments tell them. Remember, in South Africa, calling out white supremacy can be called hate speech over there. Julius Malema has been censored several times for calling out the Boers and whatnot, several times. So the South African government will tell the United States government, hey, watch out for this nigga over here. Watch out for him, watch out for them. Nigeria, same thing. Sudan, same thing. Kenya, same thing. So just understand that's why they filter them out. So they know who they're getting. So you get so-called academics. Those are individuals who have been inculcated in Western culture, Western thought. So yeah, they love to get your, quote, college educated, your so-called college educated immigrants, because they've already been debriefed on what to do. They've already been inculcated in what to do. It's the ones who come from the streets, the ones who are about the business, the ones who are not trying to conform. Those are the ones, by the way, those are the ones who don't want to be immigrants. They're fighting for the homeland. They're fighting for the soil. They're fighting for where they came from. So just understand, by and large, the folks who are about that life over there are not trying to leave. What we end up with basically is it distills down and filters out the runners, the cowards, the buck dancers. That's what you end up with when you typically talk about the immigrants. Now, that's the first generation. Second generation, they pretty much tend to follow in the footsteps of their parents, but you see them looking more like us while they're talking the dumb stuff, which is why when you turn on Twitter Space, TikTok, or whatever, that's what you see. You see these young people, some of them have accents, some of them don't, but that's what you end up with. The problem comes when you get to that third generation. Now, that's where the problem comes from. Once we get down to the third generations, once we get down to those grandkids of the original immigrants who had landed, once you get there, all hell. Now, they've been here long enough that they've seen it from beginning to end. And their attitudes are usually more in line with ours by the time you get there. Those kids, they basically, they're not cooned out anymore. So you need to bring in a fresh crop. You need to bring in a fresh group to displace the ones who've now gotten their minds right. Now, it would seem like eventually you could clean it up, and you could, unless you make it the policy to keep flooding the zone every year, which is what they're currently trying to do now. Just keep flooding the zone, keep flooding the zone, keep doing that. And eventually it'll reach a point where you basically kind of got this 50-50 going on. which is what they're fighting for now. So what do you do about that? Like I say, I mean, basically, if once enough of us are on code, it stops immediately. And if you don't believe me, ask the Haitians about Del Rio, Texas. Ask them how they feel about that. They were screaming and yelling for help. And when black folk were like, yeah, we're good, the panicking began immediately because they understood all that tough. You can talk trash on Twitter. You can talk trash on TikTok. You won't be talking trash at the deportation center. When Uncle Joloff is getting run out of here, you won't be talking trash there. So it's easy to talk stupid on social media. It's not easy to talk stupid when you're sitting in front of immigration officers. It's not easy to talk dumb there. It's not simple to talk dumb there. There's consequences. So what they're looking to do is see if we're really serious about it and we really are going to pull back and be like, yeah, we're not putting ourselves out there anymore. That's what they're looking for. That's what the political establishment is looking for. Please remember, speaking of immigrants, Barack Obama, you have to remember they were waiting to see what was going to happen after his presidency. If black folk were really serious about disowning him and whatnot. And now you've noticed Obama is on a damn milk carton. You can't find him anywhere. He came out for Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe lost resoundingly. Now they're sitting up here trying to polish Michelle Obama's credentials. Remember, they gave a Spotify show to Michelle. They're trying desperately to polish her credentials. They got what? Viola Davis. I mean, you know, you pulling out the big guns when you get Viola Davis. You know, we got to make movies and miniseries about you. That's what you, and you're not even dead? We got to make movies and miniseries about you and you're not even dead. That's what you do when you're trying to clean up somebody's image. You're hoping that the young people will get their information from movies and TV and not from actual events. So that's what you have to do when you've run out of options. You've got to jump in there. Okay, let's create a Michelle Obama who didn't really exist. And the reason they're focusing on her is because you know the cynical calculation they made. Well, you know, Obama didn't really have black credentials like that anyway. Michelle, however, you know, those Negroes, she actually had black credentials with them. So we can work with that better. She's going to be a harder target. Problem, she's no harder of a target than her husband was. Because at the end of the day, what she's not going to do is come out here, grab the microphone, and come talk to the soil. You're not going to be able to sit up here and go to an HBCU with Roland Martin and, you know, have catfish and cornbread and tell everybody that that's an agenda and everything's all right. Nobody wants to see you dance the damn Dougie. Kamala Harris tried that. Now, that heifer went even further. She used Cardi B and everything, Chuck Taylor and everything. I'm talking about Chuck Taylor's, by the way. You want to hear about anachronistic? Look it up. You want to talk about not being current with the times? You know, just think that over for just a few moments. Talk about and she thought she was killing it. Talk about out of touch. So just understand the point that we're at right now is what they're afraid about. When immigration is on the ballot, when illegals are on the ballot, that's what they're worried about. Remember what I told you all last year? People were sitting up here panicking and this, that, and the other. And oh, Jason, you know, they're going to vaccine mandates and all this old stuff right here. And I told them, I said, man, they will. I said, I guarantee you 2022, there's going to be a complete 180. Remember, I told you all this last year. There's going to be a complete when Biden was talking about those vaccine mandates, it's going to be a complete 180 in 2022 about all of that. And people were like, well, why? How are you so sure? I said, because 2022 is an election year. And they don't want this on the ballot. Next year, you get to vote on it. They don't want that. Well, guess what? As soon as it turned 2022, the headlines were talking about, oh, the hospitals are overrun with COVID patients and whatnot. But Biden talking about, yeah, I think we're loosening the restrictions. And then California, Gavin, Newsom, same thing. Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, same thing now. So everywhere you're going, you're starting to see that occur because now you get to vote on it. Well, guess what? These other issues we're talking about, that's on the ballot too. And even if it's not the number one issue, they're checking to see, is it number 2 or number 3? Is this something that resonates with the black voter base? Is this something that resonates with them? I'm telling you all right now, when you got thousands and tens of thousands of people talking about this, that's the kind of thing that scares them. There's a reason why the media outlets, for better or worse, they don't like, alternative media where people talk to themselves. They don't like that. That's a big thing that they don't like. They don't like individuals with podcasts talking to themselves, because we're never going to get on CNN to talk like this. Don Lemon's not going to bring us on for 10 minutes to talk like this. And if they do, it's only going to be one time. So we get to do this on a regular basis. This becomes the national discussion because we do this all the time. That's what they're checking the temperature of. And every year the water gets hotter and hotter, and they're trying to figure out how much longer can we last. So let's be very clear. This is the only strategy they have, and they're not going to give it up willingly. They're not going to give it up willingly. What they're going to check to see is if a critical mass shows up, and then suddenly this becomes the issue. And then what you're going to see is CNN. Then they're going to start calling all of us by name then. Oh, and they're going to be talking about this the way Roland Martin does. All you black first and foundational people and all that mess. Then they're going to come out against us heavy. But for now, they're just waiting to see if enough of us are going to act in concert. That's what they're waiting to see now, because that's the oh hell moment.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much here for checking in with us. We appreciate that. And like I say, us having our own agenda and having our own conversation about these things, that's what's new. That's what's different. What's new and what's different is that we have our own conversations about that. So that's the kind of thing that we take a look at here. That's the kind of thing we take a look at. By the way, Miss Ephraim, you're welcome to join us if you'd like to speak. By the way, just thought I'd let you know you're welcome to join us and speak if you'd like to. I just couldn't help but notice you were hanging out there. But they definitely want to see if we have our own agenda and if we're having our own discussion about it, because the thing that they take a look at is whether or not this goes away. And if it doesn't, things are different then. Hello, Miss Ephraim. Go ahead and unmute yourself, ma'am.
Hi, sorry if I sound sleepy. It's 2 a.m. here. I feel like I am probably the only African in this space. I've listened to you. I think I've also listened to Tariq. I just want to say, as an African, like I'm not American. I've never been to America before. As 100% African, there's such a disconnect between Africans and Black Americans, and it comes from misunderstanding. So, as an educated African myself, I want to let you know that in my whole life, I have never been taught Black American history. I don't know anything about Black American history, and I'm an educated person. I have a master's degree. So, if then you can imagine how the average African, or let me speak for Nigerians myself, Nigerians love education. They don't know anything about African American history. So, when I hear about all this, legislation and how Black people paved the way for Africans. Like, I bet you, like many Nigerians, I'm speaking for the ones that I know that are in America, they don't think that anybody paved the way for them. They think they got their own merit. I'll give an example. My cousin, she got like really high scores in SATs, and she went to America on scholarship, and she was studying in Texas at first, and then she transferred to Minnesota. She got there and she fell in love with a white boy, and they came back to Nigeria to get married. I remember I was 19. This was about 10 years ago, and I met her white boyfriend at the time, and he told me, if you ever come to America, do not befriend Black people. Like, he says, oh, Africans are really nice and sweet, but Black Americans are very violent people. That's what my cousin's white boyfriend told me, and he was literally the first.
Now, you know what the interesting thing is there? The interesting thing is I've talked to guys like Jared Taylor and Richard Spencer, and they say the exact same thing about Africans in Africa. Now, isn't that interesting? They say these white men in America say the exact same thing about Africans in Africa. Here's the difference. Black people in America don't believe them. Black folk in Africa will sit right there, and if Zadie said it, they'll just nod their heads. Now, there's the key difference. I'd also like to bring up one other thing here. Now, you said that you were not taught about Black American history. That's very interesting. Here's the problem. You don't need to be. Were you ever taught about Black Nigerian history is the real question.
Of course, when we study history here, we study our own history, like colonial history, not Black American history. I mean, we know about like the slave trade and when it ended, but we don't know how much Black Americans fought in
No,
America.
ma'am. No. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. You see, when we talk about Black history in America, juxtaposition against white supremacy, we can name the names, we can name the heroes and tell you what they did and the battles they fought and the battles they won. We can tell you specific personalities. Can you tell me 3 personalities in Nigeria who fought against colonialism on behalf of Nigeria, on behalf of being Black in Nigeria, not just on behalf of some nationalism, on behalf of what they were as Black people?
I know for sure that many other African countries started fighting against the British colonial rule.
Right. Can we just stick to? I think you said you're from Nigeria, correct?
I am.
Okay, can we stick to Nigeria specifically?
Okay, we have leaders like Shehu Shagari. You can look them up. I'm not sure you've ever heard about them. We have people like Nnamdi Azikiwe. I mean, the Nigerian like national anthem. These are heroes that fought for our colonial history. So it's not like they don't exist just because you don't know
No.
them.
Okay, but that wasn't what I asked though. That wasn't what I asked because people do trot those names out. Here's the problem. The
I mean,
problem
you can
is,
look it up.
but here's the issue though, because I asked my question a specific way for a specific reason. I asked the question of, was it on behalf of Black people or was it on behalf of a geopolitical state?
Nigeria is a Black nation. Like Nigeria is Black.
Does Nigeria identify itself as a Black nation?
Nigeria is a Black nation.
No. You're saying Nigeria is a Black nation. I ask again, does Nigeria identify itself as a Black nation the way that Marion Barry of Washington, D.C. stood up and called D.C. Chocolate City, or the way that Ray Nagin in New Orleans called New Orleans Chocolate City? Can you show me the sitting political figures in Nigeria who have identified and declared Nigeria a Black state?
Nigeria is a Black state. We have never
Okay,
ever.
that's the 3rd time. Miss Ephraim says that. 4th time. Can you show me the political establishment that has declared Nigeria a Black state?
We don't need any political establishment. We're a Black state. Like
There
it's
you go.
simple. The largest one in the world.
Okay, but here's the problem. If you don't have a code, then your numbers are worthless, which is the reason that we don't want any more people coming over here claiming, well, they're Black like us and they're immigrants, because no, we have an agenda. And if you're not on the same page with us, then you're diluting and destroying the agenda, because
And I
we are
understand that you
fighting.
have an
Hold on, Miss
agenda, and I'm
Ephraim.
not
Hold on a
even there.
second.
I'm
Miss
not
Ephraim,
planning to
hold
come
on.
there.
Hold on a second.
But I'm
I
letting
know
you
y'all
know
are used to
that
throwing.
the
We
best way
don't
to
do that
achieve your
here. Miss
agenda.
Ephraim, we don't throw Jollof and colostomy bags at each other. We don't talk over the host. Slow down for a moment. You cannot just say there's 100 million of us and then, well, there's 100 million of us and we're dark skinned, therefore we're a Black nation. No, if you are not codified and we can ask the average citizen, are you Black? And they understand that, then no, you don't. You just have a big mess of people making their way through the world, but they are not executing any type of agenda other than making their way through the world. And that's the problem. By your own admission, there is no national identity of Blackness in Nigeria. There isn't one. And
Because
that's the problem.
the reason why you need a national identity is because you're not, like, America is not originally black, quote unquote. So Nigeria has been originally black. Everybody in Nigeria is black, like 98, to the point that if we see a white person, we know they're like an immigrant, foreigner, anything. So, but my
When you
point
say
is that
black, what do you mean?
I mean black in terms of skin tone, like we are colonized black people.
Okay, and there's the difference. When we say black, we are not merely describing our skin tone. We are describing our geopolitical status, not merely a skin tone.
And this brings me back to my initial point, and I'll round up here. Like, there is such a misunderstanding between Africans and Black Americans, and I think that the best way to run this agenda, I'm not here to spew any hatred. The best way is to there has to be a bridge of understanding between these sets of people, because being African is very, very different from being Black American.
Well, I would say that being African is very different from being black. Now, that you're correct about. Just because you're African or an indigenous African person, that doesn't mean that you're black. You might be
But
dark skin
I
tone,
heard you
but that
saying
doesn't mean you're
something
black.
about Ethiopians and Somalians thinking they're not black, and like that pisses
Yes,
you
ma'am.
off that think they're not black.
Yes, and therein lies the issue is that, as you stated, you'll have 100 million people who think that black simply means, well, I'm dark skinned. And then they go off and be like your sister and immediately dismiss their skin tone and go marry somebody telling them outright lies in front of them. That's exactly what we mean. They're dark skinned, but they have no black identity whatsoever. You can't be black without the identity. It's impossible. You can't be. You might as well be a dark-skinned Indian or a dark-skinned Arab or a dark-skinned Nigerian. There's essentially no difference. When we say black, we are speaking about specifically juxtapositioned against the system of white supremacy and our place in it. And that's what gives us our identity. When
And
we
I don't
say
know
the
how
word
you
black,
expect like dark skinned black people who don't even believe or who are not aware of white supremacy to become like politically black. I
how
don't,
can you live in Africa and not be painfully aware of white supremacy? How is that possible?
because we're focused on our own issues and our own like country. So,
What type of issues? Give me an example.
oh my God, like how can you be an American and not be aware of all the issues that Africans
Okay,
are facing?
you're there. You're speaking on behalf. You're the person there. Tell me what. Give me two of the issues other than white supremacy that you'd be focused on.
Who doesn't know the issues Africans are facing? I
Okay,
mean,
you apparently you don't. I'm asking you. Can you give me two of them?
everybody in this space knows what issues Africans are facing.
Okay, ma'am, you're here
When
to
you guys
educate us.
say,
We're not going to take it for granted. Just tell us. Give us two examples. I think she's trying to get her connection back at the Starbucks. It says connecting for her. So sometimes they have brownouts over there and things, and I don't want that. Okay, apparently she dropped or something. Not really certain there, but maybe they maybe the deep fat fryer at Arby's that powers the Wi-Fi might have stopped working. So hopefully they can get some more chicken nuggets in there and get that going again for them. You're more than welcome to give us a call back here, Miss Ephraim. So if you need help getting the deep fat fryer going, let us know. We can help you out with that. All right, you Cheese K, you are on. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, I'm just listening to, what y'all was just speaking about. And I wanted to ask, do you know the term foundational Black American? Um, it's from Tariq Nasheed, and I love that he created that term because I feel like it's for us. It's not for people of color. It's for people who built this country, Black Americans who are oppressed by white supremacy.
Yes, ma'am. I think everybody's pretty much well of Tariq's work in that, and I think that's fantastic. It certainly gives you a specific frame of reference. And once people have a common frame of reference, that's a very powerful thing to have, is when people know exactly what they're saying and why they're saying it, because otherwise you have situations that lend themselves to confusion. So it certainly helps to crystallize that in a big way, and definitely helps to crystallize when we start bringing other terms into it. Is a great way to be able to do that as well. Thank you very much, here. We appreciate that. Miss Ephraim, I don't know. Do we need to send her some 9-volt batteries over there? Okay, we might have to have a collection, get some 9-volt batteries going about that. But what we're talking about here tonight is we're talking about how do Black immigrants help Black Americans. I had a program Sunday where we were talking about that, and I thought that was important because going forward, everybody needs to be on the same page. And one of the things that we have not insisted on is that if you are going to enter the discussion of the Black body politic, you need to be able to speak on that. Now, Blessed Finesse, you were approved once. I'm going to remove you here if you keep doing that. So I don't know what you're doing there, but you were told you can speak and you keep going back to listener status. So if you want to speak, you need to go ahead and speak.
I was glitching. I couldn't hear nothing. I didn't hear you. But yeah, greetings. So now, do you mean, let me get some context. Are we talking about holistically as a whole or individually? Because I have second generation Black immigrant friends who definitely have did business ventures, and I've done it with them, and they help me tell me how to do things, etc. But then holistically, when we look at it, I don't see it. I just think they help themselves and they tribe up and just open up their own things.
Yes, and therein lies the issue. We are speaking about it as a group. We're not talking about as individuals, because that's looking for the exception. That's cherry picking. And you could sit here and cherry pick anything. You could cherry pick in America just because you could find, you could find 1,000 white people who are stomped down 100% against white supremacy. They certainly exist. But do they represent America as a group? No, they are the exception. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind in discussions like this when you're talking about your Black immigrant class. You can find exceptions, absolutely, but do they represent, their people as a group? Nigerians as a group, South Africans as a group, Ethiopians as a group. Do they represent them as a group? No, they tend to be outliers.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for that context. So yeah, absolutely not. They actually hurt, and it's just as bad, if not worse, than the Mexican immigrants and the Asian immigrants and the white immigrants. They just want to assimilate, and they they're not here to fight with us. They're just here for the American dream, and we're not here for that. So we already are seeing from different aspects on that case, and that's one of the dangerous parts about it, because they do look like us, and they can misrepresent us in spaces with different ideas than we have, because they don't have the historical oppression tied to this country that we do.
And that's exactly the whole point of it, is that they then become the face of Black Americans, individuals who are first generation or second generation, and have either they are separated from our experience or they have hostility towards our experience. Shout out Kamala Harris and Barack Obama. They have hostility towards it. And yet you look up and people with hostility towards your experience suddenly become the voice of your experience. So they will bypass all of us to go and grab somebody, of non-foundational lineage. And then next thing you know, they're on TV doing the talking for us on our behalf. And then next thing you know, it becomes, well, student loan forgiveness is reparations. Well, having a new bus route is racial justice. So then it becomes that.
And it's another piece to it, because they even are, if they do get in anything we get, and I fuck with the diaspora, and I know we from Africa, that's our family, but my issue is they are not doing as bad as we are. So in this country, and that I think is a piece that people are overlooking, because we do have people doing well, but it's the numbers just don't add up.
Okay, let me deal with that, because I addressed that Sunday as well. That's a big misnomer also. Let's be very, very, very super, very clear about this. Success is not compared by looking at the floor, it's compared by looking at the ceiling. It's compared by looking at who's at the top. And when you take a look at who's at the top, your so-called black immigrants, they're not doing any appreciably better than black Americans are. They're not doing anything appreciably. They might be making a little bit more in certain pockets, okay? So that one gets to be totally overblown. We have this stereotype of the Nigerian doctor, but that's a stereotype. You have this stereotype of the Nigerian college student, but I know a number of them who are sitting under a bunch of student loan debt, and there's nothing really cracking off. So what they've done is they have established a sense of community. So you have areas where there are pockets of them who band together. But let's be very, very clear. You can't name a single place in America where you have a majority black immigrant population, and that's the pop inside of town. That's where the highest home values are, the highest business profit values. There's not a single place in America where that's the case. Some of them are just self-employed, and some of them are doing marginally better, but there's no place where they're doing 2 and 3 times better. There's no corporations out here where they're taking over the boards. I can show you where the Asians are. I can show you where the East Indians are.
My brother,
There's none of them doing
I
that.
don't know where you live. I live in Atlanta, and the Caribbeans are really killing this shit. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but they really are building. They're doing exactly what you said. And when you look
Okay.
at numbers,
Show me
hold
a
on,
10
let me
story
finish.
show me a 10-story hotel owned by the Caribbeans in Atlanta.
Oh, that's more of the
Oh,
Russian immigrants.
okay. Thank you.
That's
Okay, then they're not doing
a different
anything.
sector. But if I can just finish, that's what I'm saying. If you know the numbers, the reason they don't have what you said is because now it's 21% of them. We know that as of 2 weeks ago from the Pew Research Center. In the 80s, I believe 85, it was only 3%. And it was 0.87% in 1965 before the Civil Rights Act. So with these numbers increased by 2060, it's going to be 63% of the black population is going to be black immigrants. So they're going to have all that stuff. And we're still going to be at the bottom of the caste system because
How much of Atlanta's economy do the Caribbeans occupy?
But see, that's why I gave you the context for the numbers of how many it
Okay,
is.
sir, that was a question. How much of Atlanta's economic population do the Caribbean immigrants occupy?
You tell me. You said the economic population.
Yes, sir. How much of Atlanta's economy is being powered by your Caribbean immigrants?
I'm sure there's no data on it because it's
okay.
All
right, but you claim, okay, number one, you said they're, quote, killing it here. So let me find out here exactly how much real estate is being owned of any consequence by your Caribbean immigrants, if they're killing it.
I'm not saying it as a consequential. My focus is, again, I told you, Mexican immigration, white immigration, and Asian.
Okay, so in other words, that was not meant to be
black immigrants. So,
right. In other words, you made that statement, but that statement was not actually meant to be a factual statement. That statement was meant to be a hyperbolic statement. It wasn't actually a factual statement.
So what is your argument? You're saying,
right. So what I'm saying is that your statement
is that they're not doing better, and you're saying that on opinion, not based on numbers, like statistics that Jamaicans are the largest black homeowners in the country by numbers.
Okay, and black people are the poorest, and black people are the poorest homeowners. So black people are the poorest homeowners in America.
What? I'm not sure.
Yeah, thank you. Little things like facts kind of trample that. Now, here's the real thing. If you're going to talk about somebody has a piece of an economy, I can listen to it in juxtaposition against other people. So the first thing I'm going to say is, okay, if you're going to talk about Caribbeans are killing it, I need to look at the areas where they're killing it, because the places where people come to Atlanta to spend money, because I do that many a time and whatnot. All I got to say is take a look at the West End downtown. If you're going to convince me that somebody's killing it, I need to see where they're competing against that, because all I see is a bunch of people they have a storefront here and a storefront there. We already got that. You can't show me anything that the Caribbeans have that foundational black Americans didn't already have in Atlanta.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, that's not my argument.
Okay, then they're not killing the numbers.
As far as
they're not killing nothing,
because there's so many less of them, it doesn't. I can't show that. Also, because like you're changing my argument. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm changing your argument by repeating your words.
Don't do interesting. Telling you by the numbers they do. So you're
sir,
saying,
I just asked you for the numbers and you can't present those either.
I'm not saying they do better than white folks. or
No, no,
other.
you said
It's
you
not
just
my
said
argument.
you just said they're doing better by the numbers. Will you please give me the
I'm
numbers that they're doing
us.
better?
I'm sorry.
You just said they're doing by the numbers, they're doing better. Can you please present me the numbers, sir?
Yes, I just told you Jamaicans are 53% ownership of households, which is the highest black demographic in America for owning homes, as far as how many people it is.
Okay, sir. When you throw out statistics like that, context really matters. And when you take a look at how much black people own and what the value of homes are, do you realize what you're really saying?
Go ahead.
Okay. Who are the poorest homeowners in America, sir? Because when you go to your Jamaican neighborhoods, are those neighborhoods, your Caribbean neighborhoods, the Queens, Bronx, are those neighborhoods popping? Answer, no.
Well,
Those
come to them down here, and you tell me if
okay, down here, because apparently you are. What are you trying to say, Atlanta?
yes.
Okay, where are your people from, brother?
Then go. My people are from Atlanta.
Okay, you are caping a little bit
They
too
went
hard,
saved in Rockdale County, Georgia. It's like 15 minutes from Atlanta, and then
sir. You're caping a little
in
bit too
Lyons, Georgia.
hard. You're caping a little bit too hard for circumstantial evidence. You're caping a little bit too hard for that. I'm
No,
just going to be totally honest with you.
I don't even have nothing against black immigrants, but I'm not going to deny the fact that they are doing better than us. That's what I'm like. I mean, what are you
Okay,
talking?
and you were asked how they're doing better, and there's nothing.
Okay,
You were literally asked to tell us what it was. Well,
you
some of them
guys.
own some homes. Home ownership is not an asset, in case nobody ever told you. Home ownership is not an asset. In case nobody ever told you. That's not an asset. Now, businesses are assets, investments are assets. Where's the Caribbean investment in Atlanta? Show me the Caribbean investment district in Atlanta. There's plenty of them. I can show you the strip clubs. I can show you the hotels. I can show you the restaurants. Show me where the Caribbean investment part is. I'll wait.
Bro, it's here, but it will be anecdotal
And
because
it's
again, I
here.
don't have the data on that because the numbers
Okay.
ended in with ours. I just
All
told
right. When you get the data, when you finally get that together, here's a pro tip for
you.
you.
And New York is
Don't promote something until you got all your ducks lined up. Otherwise, you're just hoping and wishing. So, pro tip for you going forward in the future. Thank you very much for weighing in on that. Yeah, folks, look, if you're going to defend something, if you're going to say that, just pro tip for you. Just be ready. Let me get here. Tigers, what was that? Tiger NBA. Go ahead and
Yeah,
unmute
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. So, hey man, I don't know. Do you realize how much you're promoting hate against each other?
Sir, promoting hate. Can you explain to me exactly what the hateful part is, please?
They hate black African American against the immigrant, the African native. I think that's all you're doing all these days. You're just promoting hate against each other, and we all have common enemy. You know, we all have common enemy. I don't see why you doing all this. So, like,
Okay.
how we supposed to
Where are
how
you,
we supposed to
sir?
help you?
Let me find out here. Where are your people from, Mr. Tigers NBA?
I'm from Rwanda.
Okay, you're from Rwanda.
Yeah.
Sir, will you please explain to me blackness from the perspective of a Rwandan in Rwanda? Can you explain can you
Yeah.
explain to me how Rwandans value blackness?
Yeah, we are very proud of our identity. We are
No, identity is what? You said we're very proud of our identity. What
that's right.
identity, sir? What
Identity
identity?
of identity of being Rwandan African.
Okay, thank you. But being
That,
Rwandan and being black are not the same thing. Rwanda is a geographic location. It is not a race.
okay, can you tell me how we're supposed to help you
Okay.
as the African
Okay. Okay.
American?
All right, sir. Well,
Yeah,
hold on a second now.
yeah.
Before you can claim that somebody is sowing hate or anything like that. You have to tell me who you got love for. And what I'm asking you now is who you got love for. And what I'm saying is in Rwanda, it's very clear by your own admission now with how you address that question. Y'all don't have love for the black like that. You got love.
What do you mean? We got love for our people. We got love for you. But you here promoting that we should be like, how we supposed to help you? Like individually, we supposed to help. Like how? Tell me.
No, what I'm saying is that if you are going to claim that somebody is being, divisive or anything like that, let me find out here. Which tribe are you from? Hutu, Tutsi, what is it?
No. We don't. Those belong in the past, man. We don't.
Whoa, slow
Those
down,
are
slow down,
bullshit.
slow
Those
down.
are
So,
bullshit. We don't. Like, that's
so you're saying
again.
that
You're being divisive.
so
Again,
you're
you being.
saying that you're saying that you're a Rwandan, but you do not acknowledge whether you're Hutu, Tutsi.
No, I do not. I do not. That's not identity.
That is not an identity.
That is not an identity.
So you're telling me that if we were in Rwanda right now,
yes.
no one would be identifying themselves as Hutu, Tutsi,
No.
Twa,
No,
anything.
no. Sir, that belongs to the 60s. That again,
The
you're going
60s.
back. Well,
Dude,
no.
did you say the
No.
60s?
No. You're going to the divisive.
The
That
genocide was in the 90s, sir.
that's
That wasn't in the 60s. The
exactly,
genocide was in the 90s.
Okay, let it be there. Let it be there. Let it
Whoa,
stay
no,
there.
this fella just said the 60s. The genocide was in the 90s. This is the
Okay.
problem we have.
Let me.
Y'all make up your
Can I
facts as you
educate
go
you?
along. That's
Can
not
I
very
educate you on
dependable.
that? Can I educate you on that?
So you're going to
This
educate me on the difference between the 1960s and 1990s?
No,
about
no,
30
no, no,
years.
no,
I
no,
got
no.
that one down.
Let me educate you why I said 60s. That belongs to the 60s. The European came. The European came in during the colonialism in the 60s. What I meant before that. So they brought these ideas. These are divisive ideas of telling people that you belong to this, you belong to that, that you look these certain people who have certain features. You're gonna identify yourself as a Hutu, Tutsi, Twa, or whatever, or Igbo, or whatever the case may be, depending on our countries in Africa. But we don't buy that. That's nonsense. We don't buy that. That's white men trying to devise. That's white men trying to devise in
Sir,
order to
if
reign.
that's the French trying to divide you, you said white man, you didn't say the French. If that's the French trying to divide you, they did a damn good job.
Of course, and I think you also perpetrating the same idea.
Sir, I'm not perpetrating the idea. I am simply repeating the facts on the ground.
But okay, why don't you tell me, Mr. Black, how we supposed to help as a black, as a African immigrant?
Okay.
How we supposed to help you as a African American? How we supposed to
Well,
help?
first and foremost here is
Mhm.
that since you have had the way paved for you by us, the number
Yeah,
one thing is that you should show gratitude to the people
we
who
are.
made it possible. Because
We of
just like
course.
when we go to Jamaica, when my
Yes.
feet touch ground there, I show
Yeah.
respect to Marcus Garvey. When my feet
Yeah.
touch ground in South Africa, I show respect to Nelson Mandela. I show respect to the icons there. I show
Yeah.
respect to the people there. I ain't set tripping. I show respect to the people there. I show respect to them as they are. We have a gap, is what we have here. On our side of the ocean, all of a sudden, folks start talking crazy and don't show proper respect to the people who hold fort in the yard. So I am not one of these people who says, well, let them do their own thing. I'm like, no, because you're a guest in our house. You're a guest in our house. And as a guest, you need to show respect to the host.
Like
And
we
there's
supposed
where the
to. Like we
problem comes
supposed to.
in. Is we are
If
not being
I
shown
see
the
if I
respect
see
a
you to,
host is due.
if I see you tomorrow, or if we back each other tomorrow on the street, I'm supposed to bow and pay my whatever. How am I supposed to show
Okay.
respect? Like,
Now did you all see what he just did right there? That's disrespect. That's what
Like
I mean
how?
right there. Now
Tell me how am I supposed?
that is disrespect right there.
No, for real.
That's
Like tell
that's
me
exactly the problem that
practically.
we have right there.
No, no,
That
no, no,
type of
Mister.
backhanded,
No.
sarcastic behavior, that's
No.
disrespect.
Practically, tell me in the real world, how am I supposed to show to acknowledge that I'm grateful for the African American who paved the
Let me
way for
explain
me
to you
to
all
come
exactly
here.
how it
Yeah.
works. When
Okay.
your people fought and fled, when they
Yeah.
fled and ran, when they ran and fled from Rwanda on
Right.
anything that would on any piece of cardboard that would float, when
Right.
they got to the United States, if there were any of them who did get to become citizens, if
Yeah.
the right way, which most of them don't, but if there were any who did become citizens the right way, you realize there's one thing you have to do before you can become a citizen. You have to stand in front of somebody, usually a white man. You
Yeah.
raise your right hand
Yeah.
and you quote the Pledge of Allegiance. And
Yeah.
that there's a reason why the Pledge of Allegiance has that name. It is you are pledging your allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
We
one
stand.
nation
Yeah.
under God, indivisible, with
Yeah.
liberty and
Whatever.
justice for all, whether it's a lie or not.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
first part is the part that matters. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You need to pledge, if you all are going to be here, the only way you can help Black people in America, we already have an agenda. And as I said before, you do not undermine our agenda, which is what has been happening. So the bottom line is we're the spear point. Your job is to back our play, not to have an individual one of your own. If you're not backing our play, you're on the wrong side. And generally speaking, that's what happens.
But you don't have
So
republic.
since
You don't have a separate republic that we're supposed to
Sir, you're in the United
commit to.
States. Sir, you're in the United States. And the only way you got here was because they like to say that kind of garbage. We were unified enough and we had enough of a Black republic to be able to get laws, statutes, regulations, Supreme Court precedents passed to allow you all to be entered into the country. So you weren't saying that when we got that done. There was enough of a Black republic to get that done, sir. Now he wants to talk about what there isn't. Y'all sure did benefit from, if there wasn't one, you sure did benefit from whatever we did have. So clearly there was enough of one to get you here. So you need to show your respect to support that.
Can I
Let's give
can
you
I
a,
can I
let me give
offer
you a
you an
simple,
invitation?
let me give you a simple test.
Can I
You are
can I
in
give
this
you an
room,
invitation?
sir,
Yeah.
silent, sir. You are
Okay.
in this room speaking to the host. What you need to
That's
be
correct.
is in the immigrant Twitter spaces, putting the smack down on them for saying anything disrespectful about us, because we have the right to criticize our guests for not honoring their responsibilities as our guests. The guests don't get to dictate terms to the host.
So whatever you're saying, man, I'm for my people, which are you, which are any Black, African American, whatever you want to call it,
That
and
doesn't work. That doesn't work.
I have an invitation for you, sir, and I
Sir,
think
that doesn't work.
that's the way.
That doesn't work because
Can I?
all Black people are not on the same side. So I cannot go sit here and just say I'm for any Black
Here
person.
you
No,
being
I can't do
divisive
that.
again.
I
Here you
can't do
being
that.
divisive.
Yes,
Can
sir.
I? Can I
Yes,
offer?
you're
Can I
absolutely
offer?
correct. Yes, you're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. I am trying to divide. I'm trying to divide those who are supporting us from those who don't. Yes, sir. You're definitely right. I am
Can
here
I
to
give you
divide.
an invite? Can I give you an invite?
Am I required to bring my own smoked camel or?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, I gotta bring my own smoked camel. Well,
Yeah, yeah, man.
I
You
have to see if I can go
bring
get some.
anything you want. You bring anything you
Um,
want.
do
Here's
they
my
have
invite.
camel fat backs? Anybody know
Listen,
where I can buy a camel fat back?
listen, Mr. Black. Um, I'm actually inviting you and anybody else who actually wants to do an investment
Are we being
to
invited?
come.
Are we being invited to the barbecue?
No. We're talking about real stuff, man. We're talking about money.
Oh, you talking about
Come,
money? Well, oh,
yeah,
this
yeah.
no, brother, no. Here we go. See, this is what I mean right here. Here comes the Rwandan money scam. So this is
No.
the Prince of
I'm inviting you to
Zamunda.
come
This is the Prince of Wakanda. He's like, I need y'all to get, look here, brother. I see there's like 1,000 of y'all listening right now. So I would like to invite you all to the wonderful world of Wakandas where we can get to know, brother. I'm afraid we can't do that.
No. I'm inviting you
Look,
to come and invest.
what we need you to do, sir, we need you to do like the white folk, like we tell the white folk. Your job is to go among your fellow immigrants and get them on code and let them know when they're off code. And there's plenty of Twitter spaces that you should be in right now, not this one.
Sorry, my phone is ringing, but
okay, it sounds like he's on the same phone with Miss Ephraim, so they're trying to get their act together. Somebody pulled the plug on the snow cone machine at the Rwandan Applebee's. So I guess somebody did that. Somebody can get over there and plug back up the Slurpee machine at the Rwandan Burger King, because the Wi-Fi went out. And every time somebody kicks that cord and the thing pops out, the Wi-Fi goes. So I heard if you run hot water through it, that'll get it ungummied up in there. So I'm trying to help. Like I say, definitely this is a discussion we had. And by the way, yes, by the way, matter of fact, let me bring one more thing here. Mr. Blessed Finesse, let me turn your microphone back on for you. Wake up, sir. Mr. Blessed Finesse has been invited to speak. Don't be shy now. I was interested in getting more numbers. He's sitting right there, Mr. Blessed Finesse. All you gotta do is press your button for it, sir.
Oh, you missed me. You invited me back up. I wasn't even raising my hand. What's up?
Now, one more thing here.
No, the one more thing is you making a room talking about how does black immigration help, but at the same breath saying that the numbers aren't true about them coming here and co-opting us. They couldn't co-opt us if they weren't acting a certain type of way to get in these spaces. So for you to act like that doesn't exist, it doesn't even make sense.
Okay. Well, first of all, as a person who prides himself on his numbers, I just want everybody to know, I want him to keep saying it a few times, because he kept making the statement that Jamaicans are the largest group of black homeowners in America.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
You said it 4 or 5 times, sir, and I just let you keep repeating it, and I didn't correct you because I just wanted you to keep repeating it. But by the way, you said it about 4 or 5. Yeah, I think you'd like to correct that number now.
And if I don't, this is from a Pew Research study that came out 3 weeks ago. Is that what you're looking at?
Okay, so yeah, I think you might want to address that number again.
What? No. You tell me the numbers you have and where.
No. You said it 4 or 5 times.
No, you brought me up here, brother. You want to challenge me? I'm down for it. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Because you were saying the Jamaicans are the largest group of black homeowners in America. He said that 4 or 5 times.
I said black immigrant homeowners.
Sir, you know you've been recorded, right?
No, I said they.
You know you've been recorded, right?
Percentage of them.
Sir, you know you've been recorded, right? All right.
I know what you're about to do. You're going to say more black people own homes than them.
Yikes.
That's because it's more of us than them.
But I let you say it 4 or 5 times, sir.
Then they are. So
yeah.
What are the numbers? And
I let you say it. No, I let you say it 4 or 5 times, so that way he came back. Now he's going back at it. Now he goes, well, I meant to say, I said immigrants. Actually, you're kind of recorded. So, like I said, I wanted him to say it 4 or 5 times, just so it was etched in stone. Because I'm doing this, brother. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I'm doing this as a teaching. I'm doing this as a teaching moment.
Stand on this shit.
I wouldn't stand on this, sir. I wouldn't stand on
this. Bro,
I'm doing this as a teaching moment.
Post this shit. Goddamn.
Sir, I'm doing this as a teaching moment. I just want you all to understand that
Oh,
anybody
not teaching because you already said
who
you said
tries
that's
to
a
claim,
based thing saying
sir,
that numbers are.
anybody who tries to claim that any Black immigrant group is shining
Do you know
over
what the
us
color of wealth
is
report? What's the
completely
color of wealth report?
making
Everybody
things
in this
up.
room.
That
And
is
who's
all.
at the bottom of the caste system on that report? This dude is just saying stuff. You're not even
Sir,
familiar with that.
I literally just proved that you just argued
You
against your
didn't prove
very own
the
stat.
numbers, man.
I literally did that. So there's my point. There's people can say things,
Let me
but
see.
I want them to have an opportunity to understand that facts are troublesome things. But thank you for at least conceding that
No, but I want you to post the
that you're up to
numbers.
be corrected about that. So thank you for at least conceding that one.
Where
So
can I look at
like
this?
I say, I wanted them to say that 3 or 4 times. So now that they said that, that's very, very helpful.
I came
So
up here to talk about how we missed
thank
the
you very much for that.
topic, and you come in
Uh,
take numbers and you won't even post a report on it.
sir, he's been asked about that. So just understand we're helping you out here. Okay. So just be aware we're helping them out here.
Bro,
So
look, like I said, Google the color of wealth report, and then you tell me it's.
okay. Folks, there's a lesson here to be learned. Make sure if you're going to say things, just understand you can't make up your own facts. There is no group that outshines us. There is no group that outdoes us. We're first, everybody else is second, but that would be common sense because they couldn't have gotten here if the first had not laid the foundation. And now, the reason we laid the foundation was because we wanted to create a place where Black people could thrive against a system of white supremacy and come into our own in that regard. But you can't thrive against white supremacy if you are working in conjunction with it. That's the problem. So that's where we come from now. So when you talk about helping, when I say how do Black immigrants help Black Americans? Well, right now they don't as a group. There are individuals who do, but as a group, no, we don't have that. We don't have that. So how can they help? How can they help Black Americans? You can help Black Americans by getting each other on code. So you heard with the young lady from Nigeria, hello, Miss Ephraim, the fellow from Rwanda. As soon as you asked them about Blackness, they started talking about geography. The battle is not over geography. The battle is over identity, not geography. If you want to help, there's where you can help. Just like white people need to talk to other white people about white supremacy, immigrants need to talk to other immigrants about Blackness. Let me say that again. If you want to help Black Americans, most of you don't, but if you actually did, then just like white people need to talk to other white people about white supremacy, immigrants can talk to other immigrants about Blackness. Not about being Nigerian, not about being Muslim, not about being Christian, not about being Rwandan. You can talk to each other about Blackness, and then you'll be on the same agenda with the rest of us. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Very glad you all got to join us here. This has been a very informative discussion. We're going to do this again very real soon here. By the way, if you want to join us on YouTube anytime you want to, go ahead and check the link in the description of my profile here on Twitter. You'll have the link to my YouTube channel. It goes down over there. And by the way, if you're new here on our Twitter space, you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Go ahead and hit that button as well. Been great to go ahead and chop things up with the family here tonight. This concludes tonight's broadcast of Twitter Space, the Black Authority. Glad to join you all. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant. And until next time, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.